Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you guys what I think are some of the top 3 most popular endurance road bikes. Now the season is just about to get started here, so we're all kind of looking to get ready, and for some of us that means purchasing new bikes, and a lot of us should be riding on endurance oriented road bikes because we don't have a professional masseuse to help us with our biking goals. So to that end, I wanted to share what I think are some of the best endurance bikes you can get. So let's hop right into it. Apologies, I just got back from a run, so I look pretty gross, but it's not about me, it's about the bikes. So let's get into it. All right guys, so what is a endurance bike first and foremost? Well, an endurance bike typically has a more upright geometry than other kind of race bikes would, but endurance bikes are often a lot more than just having an upright geometry. There's also typically some kind of road vibration smoothing type features within the frame or the feature set, which makes the ride more comfortable and just more enjoyable. So when looking at these top 3, just keep in mind it's about more than just the upright geometry. It's also about some of the feature set too. Okay, so starting off, I think the number 1 pick, which if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of this bike, and that is the Trek Domane. Now, there's so many reasons why I love the Trek Domane. First of all, there's a price point in the Trek Domane for pretty much every category of rider. So you have entry level all the way up to like seasoned professional racer. So there's pretty much a spot for anyone to pick a trim level here. And because they have entry level price points as well, it's a great option to recommend for beginner road cyclists. It's just a really, really awesome, versatile bike. And there's so many ways you can set up this bike. You can make it a simple commuter bike, you can make it a gravel bike, you can use it as an endurance bike, you can even outfit it with certain racing type features to make it a fast and more agile kind of bike. So there's just so many different sort of placements that this bike can slot into, and so as I said, it's just a really easy bike to recommend for beginners. Now of course the geometry is going to be upright like I mentioned, but as you guys probably know, the Trek has the famous ISO-speed system, which is essentially a system that decouples the seat mast from the rest of the frame, and so that allows the seat post to sort of move up and down as the bike traverses over the road vibrations. So it just makes it generally more comfortable. And one thing that's cool about the Trek Domane is that you can slap on there 38mm tires, which is just bonkers. That's absolutely huge for a road bike, and that's why you can really set this bike up to be sort of a gravel bike too, because 38mm is now entering gravel territory. But even if you don't want to use it as a gravel bike, 38mm plus the ISO speed is going to make for a really super comfortable bike. That's not even to mention the super upright geometry that goes along with that. So for that reason, that's why I think the Trek Domane is simply one of the most popular options for endurance road bikes ever. Now the ISO speed is only going to be found on the carbon fiber versions, so keep that in mind, but still the aluminum versions of this bike, you can still put 38mm tires on there, and the upright geometry, those two things alone are going to make this bike super comfortable. I have made a couple of videos on the Trek Domane before, which you can find here. One of those videos is a review on the ALR 4 version of that bike, and the other video is a upgrade video I did where I swapped out the tires and inner tubes for something a bit more lightweight and slammed the stem and turned the bike as much as I could into a racing bike without spending loads of money. And I was super shocked by the results, so check those videos out for more information. But otherwise, Trek Domane gets an A+ in my book. Okay, so the next option, in my opinion, of some of the most popular endurance road bikes out there is going to be the Specialized Roubaix. Now there's a few reasons why I've chosen the Specialized Roubaix. First of all, again, that upright geometry, which is going to be great, but also the Specialized Roubaix has, as I'm sure you guys know, the Future Shock absorption system. Now what's cool about the Future Shock system is that it basically adds suspension to your bike, but instead of putting that suspension on the frame or in the fork, it keeps it actually above the head tube. And so what that means is that your pedaling efficiency is is not going to be diminished by the suspension system because all of it takes place above the frame and not in the frame. So you're still able to output those watts and get rewarded for every single watt you throw down. Now, the way the Future Shock system works specifically is that it adds the shock absorption in between the head tube and the stem. So it basically allows the stem to move up and down as you traverse over the road vibrations, basically smoothing it out for your hands and therefore your arms and upper body and so on. And of course, Specialized Roubaix is something that's been raced in tons of races, so it's a pretty well-known choice that you really can't go wrong with. Now, unfortunately, with the Roubaix, there isn't as many price points. So as you can see, they start at about $2,700 and then they go up to over 10 grand, obviously. So it's not as easy to recommend this for beginners because there isn't necessarily a beginner slot in the lineup. But all of these bikes are carbon fiber. They all have the Future Shock technology and they all are going to have that upright sort of comfortable position. And the fact that the frame is carbon fiber means it's going to be a little more comfortable just to begin with. So not as many price points. This is probably more an option you want to go for if you've been into biking for a little while, but if that's the case, I think it's going to be a great choice. Now, you cannot go past 33 millimeters as far as the tire clearance goes, so it's not going to be as, I guess, versatile as the Trek Domane. But one thing that's cool with the Roubaix is that it has a sort of D-shaped seat post, which adds some basically aero design to the seat post and the seat tube. So it's going to give you a little bit of perhaps a speed advantage over the Trek Domane. Of course, we're talking, watts, small amounts of watts here. It's not going to be like one's going to go super slow and then one's going to be super fast, but there is going to be maybe just a slight edge that the Roubaix has given the D-shaped seat post, which also should add some comfort as well because the seat post is clamped at the bottom, which allows some flex as you again traverse over the road vibrations. So I think the Specialized Roubaix is a great option. It's super popular and I just don't think you can go wrong with it. All right, guys, so the third option then for what I think are some of the most popular endurance road bikes. I had a hard time picking one for this because you could go in different directions. Some people will say the Cannondale Synapse is among the top three. Some people like the Scott Addict. The Giant Defy has a ton of really good reviews, and those are all totally true. Those are all could just as easily be on this list, I'm sure. But for my list, I actually chose the Cervelo Caledonia. And the reason I chose the Caledonia is because Cervelo has a pedigree in making super fast bikes. All of their bikes are meant to be fast, whether they're gravel or endurance or race, whatever they are. They're meant to prioritize speed over many other things. So for that reason, if you're the kind of person that I think if you want to go fast and be competitive in your riding, but you still want something comfortable, that's where I think the Cervelo Caledonia is going to take the top three in my list because it's a bike that could easily keep up with race bikes, but it's still going to give you that more upright geometry. The carbon fiber layup in the frame is going to be fairly compliant as well, so it's not going to be like super stiff, but it's overall just going to be a little bit more relaxed in the geometry over like, a Trek Madone or a Cervelo S5 or even a Cervelo R5. The Caledonia has room for 34 millimeter tire clearance. So again, you're sort of bringing it into that light gravel territory. But even if you don't want to do gravel with it, having a big 34 mil tire is going to add tons of compliance and comfort to everyday road riding as well. And the Caledonia also has mudguard mounts, which is going to kind of bring it into that sort of all-season sort of riding as well. So this is also kind of an option you could set up to do different things. You can kind of make it an adventure bike or a endurance kind of racing bike. It just depends on what you want, but it's a pretty versatile option. And so I think it kind of bridges the gap between endurance and race in a way that a lot of other options maybe don't do quite as well. The Trek Domane and the Roubaix, you can obviously clearly race those. They've been raced all over the world, but they are more, I think, geared toward comfort, whereas the Cervelo Caledonia anoints comfort as a top priority, but still maintains that racing sort of pedigree Cervelo is famous for. So that's why I put it on this list. But again, I could have just as easily recommended the Giant Defy, Cannondale Synapse, Scott Addict, BMC Road Machine. There's so many other options that could have been on this list. But those are kind of my top three that I personally would recommend to someone considering an endurance bike. But either way, you really can't go wrong with any of these bikes. I think they're all going to be great. All right, guys, that's all I had today. Just a quick video. Wanted to share again my top 3 favorite endurance bikes. But as always, let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to know if you agree, if you disagree. Is there something you'd recommend that I forgot to mention? Let me know. Let everyone know in the comments. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit like and subscribe. It helps me and the channel out. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.